Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar from Byte Academy and Nestria. I am Shubhankar. I am a data scientist instructor at Byte Academy. Well, before we get started, please join us in our free Discord community to enhance the experience of this workshop. I will be sharing the resource files on Nestria Discord server at the end of this event. Discord and Nestria link has been shared in the description box below. You will also get the link in the chat box as well. And don't worry if the link is a little bit different than the link in this presentation, it will land you to the same page. Before we begin, a little bit background on Nestria. Nestria is Byte Academy's sister company. And yes, you can think of it as a portal for everyone from networking to technical and career advice. Here you will find out different channels to get different help from the experts. And I will be explaining more about Nestria after this event. So welcome everyone once again. This is Shubhankar. And so let's get started with the topic today. So as the title reads, it's an introduction to Python for non-programmers. Well, it will be more of introduction to programming, but using the Python programming language. So you will learn, the basics of Python as well, but in the perspective of a non-programmers who have no experience in the field of programming, it will be best suited for them as well. So I will be, jumping onto the different files, okay, subsequently. And I will also, there is no setup required for this particular event, to attend, or this particular Python language to run on your system. Everything will be on the website as well. I mean, like everything will be on web. Okay. I will be, guiding you through how to set up everything. Okay. So first, let's start with program and programming language. All right. So first of all, we know that our computer is capable of performing specific type of activities as of our experience till now. Whether we are a programmer or we are a non-programmer, we know these facts. Right. So basically, our computer can perform arithmetic operations. It can perform logical operations. It can perform, save data in its memory, right? So it can retrieve data from its memory. We can save the, movies, photos in its memory. We can retrieve it and play it, view it, right? Then we can print data on the screen. All right, like anything you want to, display on the screen, that's kind of printing data on the screen. All right. Next, we can also take data from, the user using keyboard. What does it mean? Simply when you press some key on the keyboard, you are basically giving or entering some data for the computer to handle, right? When you do a left click, when you do a right click, your computer can understand that. When you're pressing A, when you're pressing B, so your computer can understand that, right? So that is where, this keyboard input your computer can handle. So these are the basic typical tasks our computer can do. All right. Now, if we want our computer to do something for us, let's say, now we should be able to communicate with our computer, right? That's where, we were doing some communication with using the mouse and the keyboards. And there are already some software present in it, which are helping us to do that. Okay. Now, when we want to design some software, right, there comes the field of programming, right? We will design our own software. Okay. Now, to fulfill this purpose of communication, not using the built-in softwares, but the software we are going to design. Okay. Now, to fulfill this purpose, we have specifically designed some languages, okay, that can be used to interact with the computer. Okay. Now, computer is a dumb machine, we can say. Okay. What does it mean by that? Without our instruction, it cannot do anything. Okay. Whatever we will ask it to do, it will exactly do that. It cannot do anything else apart from that. All right. Now here, there are some terminologies we need to be very clear about. So first is the set of step-by-step instructions that we are writing for the computer is called computer program. So the term software is combination of a lot of programs. Okay. So when we say we are writing a program, what exactly is a program? It's just a step-by-step instruction for the computer. Let's say we want to perform a task, there will be certain steps, right, that we're supposed to follow, or we want our computer to follow, right? Writing those steps is called programming, and the steps are called program. That's where the this definition also, telling us the action of writing a program means the step-by-step instructions, or the set of instructions is called programming. All right. Now, there are special languages that we're supposed to use for programming. Some of those languages are like C, C++, Java, Python, R, JavaScript, etc. So these are the languages that we usually use for programming. There are tons of different languages. Okay. Now here, one thing for the beginners, I would like to clear, no language is better than the other. Okay, here it is just for a specific purpose. Some language is specially designed. Okay, so based on the purpose, we're supposed to choose the language. Here, C++ is better than JavaScript, and JavaScript is better than Python. It is not like that. It is just based on, we cannot compare them blindly. We have to talk in the perspective of a situation, what we are trying to program, or what instruction we are trying to give to our computer. Okay, based on that, there are several languages and we need to choose among them. And why I have chosen this Python, because Python is a easy to learn, very high level language. Okay, so that's why it's easy to start with. So that's why I have chosen Python. Next is now programs are written to perform some actions on some sort of data. This is the most crucial part, that we need to understand as a beginner. Programs are written means the step-by-step instructions that we are writing, those are written to perform some action on some sort of data. Okay, so I will just explain it in more detail in next steps. So this is the ultimate aim or purpose behind writing of any sort of program. We write programs only to, manipulate data, only to handle data. Okay, there is nothing, there is two things, only data. We have data, we want to do something with the data. So we are writing some program, some set of instructions. So I will try to explain that, with the help of an example. Well, let's say we have a task. Okay, I am taking a very minimal fundamental task just for understanding purpose. Let's say we have to, get two numbers from the user, calculate the product, and display the answer on the screen. Let's say this is the task that we have. Okay, now here these two numbers are data. All right, now which we want to collect from the user. Okay, now if I divide this whole task, this get two numbers from the user and do the product and then display on the screen, if I divide these in step-by-step processes, it will look somewhat like this. Let's say get two numbers from the user first. Okay, give them into different save them into different location in the memory. Okay, in the same memory block, we cannot save two different numbers. Okay, we need to save them in two different locations in the memory. Multiply the two numbers. Of course, we want to find the product, right? Multiply the two numbers and save the result in another memory location. Okay, after doing the multiplication, we also have to save that in the memory as well. And last, fetch the result from the third memory location, right, which we did save after the multiplication, and then display that on the screen. Now, if you see these particular steps that I have divided, everything comes, under this these certain steps. Okay, so you can definitely take two numbers from the user. Yes, I have combined this, get two numbers from the user, but we could have written like get first number from the user, save it in the memory, then get second number from the user, save it in the memory. You can also do that in that way. In fact, we have to do in that way. Okay, we cannot take two numbers directly. Okay, and rest of the thing is like here, saving the data in the memory. Next is we have to do multiplication. See, computer indeed can do arithmetic operations, right? So it can of course do the multiplication as well. And then the result, again, we are saving that in another memory location. It's the same thing, right? Computer can save the data in the memory. And in last, or at last, we have to fetch the result from the memory, right? Computer can do that as well, right? And last, display that on the screen. And see, computer indeed can do that, print data on the screen, right? That's basically display the data on the screen. Okay, so this is the whole program that I have divided in small steps, but I haven't used any programming language over here. It's just in simple English, I have written down the steps. Okay, in another words, we use the term called algorithm for this. Okay, this writing this step-by-step process, we call this as algorithm for performing this particular task that we have. Okay, now let's jump into the environment where we can write some code, right? Here, I would like to show you certain thing. That is, I will be sharing this particular file, pythonbasics.ipynb, all right? Now, how you can, without setting up any environment on your local machine, you can access this particular file or open this particular file. Okay, because I will be writing some Python code inside this. Okay, so you definitely need some setup for that, but in our case we don't need that. Okay, what you can do, you can drop this into your Google Drive if you have. So you can just right click on it, you can go to open with, and Google Collaborator. Okay, this is the service that Google provides free of cost. Okay, and it will be opening on a new tab, and it will be looking somewhat like this. Okay, I have already opened it because it takes some time to open. Okay, so let's get started with the lesson. Okay, so this is this is called as Python notebook. It is a kind of environment where you can write plain English as well as some Python code as well. Okay, it's a combination of both. Okay, and it gives us lots of opportunity for ease our process of learning while we are learning something for the first time, right? So I have divided the things in some section. Okay, let's get started with the introduction to Python programming language. All right, we have already seen these things, right? So what a computer can do, right? Save data in memory, retrieve data from memory, right? Print data, check input from the user, arithmetic operation, logical operation, etc. Well, I didn't mention, I think there the logical operation, nothing but let's say we have a number, let's say 10, and there is another number, let's say 30. If you're asking the computer like 10 greater than 30, it will be able to, which is obviously false, it will be able to tell you that it is false. Okay, or maybe there is a number 10, there is a number 11, and you're asking whether these two things are equal or not. So your computer will be able to tell it's false. Okay, 10 is not equal to 11. So these are called logical operations, and our computer can do that. Okay, now we also know that programming languages helps us to communicate with the computer about the task we want it to perform. Okay, now one point we need to keep in our mind before we start learning about Python or any sort of programming language, right? So that every programming language has its own syntax and grammatical rules, just like the languages we use to communicate with humans, right? Here we are trying to communicate with our computer, right? So the language, the specially designed languages, has its own syntax and grammatical rules. Okay, like in English language, after a sentence, how do we understand that sentence is it is the end of the sentence? Because we put a full stop, right? Similarly, if I talk about C programming language, we have to put a semicolon. all right, over there. So it is the person who has designed the language, they have fixed these rules. Okay, so that's one point that we need to remember. Okay, and also we do programming or write programs to handle or manipulate data. Okay, that's another very important thing we need to keep in mind. So our data is the most crucial part. We do everything, we write steps, we do, we create softwares just to manipulate all these data. Okay, so data is our main center of interest. Now, one note, from now onwards, whenever I say something about computer, when I use the word computer, right, I am talking in the perspective of Python programming language. Okay, because deep down at hardware level or system level, computer is quite a complex and layered machine. Okay, there will be hundreds of layers before some task actually happens. When we write some data and want to save something in the computer, what actually happens inside the computer will be in hundreds of layers. Okay, and of course we don't need to understand, right? Because we are focusing on how to use the computer and not how the computer works, right? So there is a difference. We don't have any interest on how the computer is doing that. We have a language, we will ask our computer to do something for us in that language, and let the computer do its stuff. Okay, so that's it. Okay, that's what the main purpose of programming, right? Now, primarily, so we will start with data because everything revolves around data, right? So let's understand what data inside, what is data in a computer. Okay, so what I'm trying to mean by that, well, primarily, let's say we use different uh, data in our real life, right? Let's say we use numbers like 125 minus 556, right? We use the numbers like 125.25 minus 95.5. So just a random numbers, right? We use names like, this is my name, Shubhankar, and maybe, cat, and maybe just a letter H, then B. Okay. So computer has its own way of, understanding this data separately. Okay, and of course we have to play by computer's rule because we are giving instruction to the computer, right? We have to learn something from the computer's world. Okay, so first thing is, in computer's world we call them as an integer. I know in our mathematics also we call them as an integer, but next comes, we usually call them as a real number, right? Or decimal numbers. But in the world of computer, we call them as float or floating point numbers. Okay, let's not worry about much about these terms. Okay, so this is integer numbers. These are float. These are called as string. Okay, now what I said before, that when I'm talking about that in the computer's world, I am talking specifically for the Python, right? Why I have said that before? Because if you go to some other programming language, these two, the single character and combination of character, will be treated differently, which is not true in the case of Python. Okay, so we have to keep two things in our mind. One, how computer understand, and here when we are talking about computer, we have to think about the programming language we are dealing with. Okay, but good news, we need not to worry much about these details in Python. For Python, this also same, this also same, this also, everything is a string. Okay, next, these integer, float, string, these terms that you see, these are called data types. Okay, because they talks about the type of the data, right? So these are called data types. So we can say that this 125 is a integer data type. 125.25 is a float data type. Shubhankar is of string data type. Okay. Now, this is obviously not the end. There are more. And obviously we cannot cover all the different type of data types, in this particular session. We will see them later. Okay. Now, next, let's start with some action, right? Once we understand what is data. Okay, these are main different types of data. So let's understand with how to print data on the screen, right? So first thing is, we have certain ways, as I told, as we are dealing with the Python programming language, it has its own rule when you want our computer to ask something, or when you want our computer to do something, it has its own rule. Okay, so what is the rule over here? The rule is, or the syntax, I should say. First thing, you have to write something called as this print. Okay, this print. All right, and then in this bracket, you have to write, your data within this inverted comma. Okay, let's say, what is this? This my name is Shubhankar Ghosh. What is this? This is a string data type, right? We have already seen over here. This is a string data type. Whenever we are enclosing something within a, quotes, so this will be considered as a integer data type. So we can directly mention the data within this parenthesis, and we need to write this print. This print is called as a function. Okay, these are called as a function. It is called as print function. And this function, when I am executing the code, see, this is the output you can see over here. I'm going to run this once again. So this particular code, I'm going to you can click over here to run this. Okay, so I will be clicking over here. I'm running this for first time, right? So just give it some time. It's connecting. Yeah, we got the output. Once we get the output, you can see it's a tick mark. All right. Now, if you think I can erase this part. So this is my new data, right? Let's say I am writing some new data, right? And I can again execute this particular cell. And it will give me the output of it. See, some new data. I am printing, I am asking my computer that please print some new data, this particular string. This is a data, right? It's a string data. And I am asking, using this print statement or print function, I'm asking, please print this on the screen, and it has indeed printed on the screen. All right. Now, one small note or important part I have to mention over here. See, when I am writing this is something about this particular, this notebook. All right. So this particular cell that you are seeing over here, it is called as a code cell. All right. If I put my mouse, so this is one cell, this is the next cell. If I put my mouse somewhere, in the middle, it is giving me two different type of cell. Okay. If I want to write some Python code, I am going to choose this code cell. Okay. I cannot choose this text cell. Text cell is for writing normal text. Okay. But I want to write some Python code, means I need to see, use this code cell. I will show you. So if I click on code, let's say, let's print something else. Let's apply some data. Let's say minus 96.36. So I'm basically asking, please print minus 96.36 on the screen. So, and I will execute next. And it has indeed printed, right? And if you want to take some notes or something like that, don't go for code cell, right? Code is for, writing Python code. So go for the text cell. So here I can write some text. Okay. So that's it. All right. Now let's go ahead and explore more. Now see, computer execute statements one after one. Okay. So this is my first statement or instruction that I'm asking to my computer. This is the second instruction I'm asking to my computer. So first instruction, I have asked to my computer to print this particular data, this string data. So it will be done. Okay. Once computer will read this particular instruction, it will perform that. Next, my last name is Shubhang. My last name is Ghosh, right? So this is another string data that I have asked my computer to print. So if I run this, you can see the output over here. See, first it has printed this particular data, and then it has printed this particular data. Why is it so? Because computer will start reading from the first line. It will read the first line and say, okay, this is the instruction. It is this, with the help of this programming language, the user is asking me to, print my name is Shubhankar. So it has printed that. Then it will come to the next line. Okay. After coming to the next line, same, it will see print means, okay, I have to print something. And then what is the data that I have to print? This is the data I have to print. I can definitely change this data to, let's say 69 point, I don't know, 45. Okay. And one more thing that you need to observe over here, I am not mentioning this within the inverted commas because this is an integer. Integer should not be written inside inverted commas, only string. Okay. Whenever we want integer or float, sorry, this is a float. I'm sorry. We can go for an integer as well. Let's say I'm using 6945. This becomes an integer, right? So this integer also, we should not put inside code. And if I put inside code, it will become a string data. Okay. And I can execute it and see. First, it has printed this, then it has printed this. So this is a proof that computer is reading the first statement, executing that second statement, and executing that. Okay. All right. So one quick trick over here. Let's say I want to write a single statement, but I want some part to be printed in the first line, and then I want to move the cursor to the next line and then print the rest of the thing. In that case, some special characters are there. So this \n is one of that special character. Okay. So if you have observed, it has printed till Shubhankar over here, then because of this special character, okay, you can think of it as a punctuation like in English language. All right. This special character, computer understood that, okay, I have to move the cursor from this Shubhankar to the next line, and then I have to print the rest of the stuff. Okay. So that's it. Next, I can print, the integers as I shown before, then negative integers, then floating point numbers and negative floating point numbers. And of course, one thing, Python is a bit smart language. So it knows that this 0 doesn't have any value, right, after the decimal. So that's why it hasn't, printed that. Similarly, 1, 2, 3 after decimal, 1, 2, 3, 00, right? So it has omitted the 0. Okay. All right. Now, yeah, that one note that, program execute line by line from top to bottom. All right. Each line of code is an instruction for the computer. Remember, we were talking about the set of instruction. So these are the set of instructions. Okay. These are the set of instructions for a computer. Let's say all these set of instruction perform a specific task. We can call that all the set of instruction is a program, right? That's what we define as a program, right? A program is a set of instruction. Yeah, although, there is no connection between this line and this line, it is just randomly printing something, but I hope that makes sense, right? So yeah, we are printing one by one. I have asked it to print this and this and this and this and this. Okay. So that's it. Okay. This is the printing part. This is how we, we can ask the computer to print something for us. Okay. Let me close these sections. Next, let's save some, save data to computer's memory and retrieve data from computer's memory. This is exciting, right? So printing is fine, but let's save something in the computer's memory, right? Now, as I mentioned earlier, we will not worry about how computer is saving data in its memory, right? Instead, we will focus on how we can ask our computer to save some data in its memory using Python, okay? Right? Okay. So what is the way or syntax? Again, this is a language. It has its own rule. It has its own grammar. Okay. It has its own syntax as well. We cannot use anything that is, not, allowed, right? So the way we can ask our computer that please save some data in your memory is this. We have to write the variable name. Okay, I will come to the part what is a variable. You think of it as some name, all right? So it's a name we have to write on the left-hand side, then we put the equal sign, and right-hand side the data. It may be a string data, let's say hello, inside the inverted comma. It may be, someone's age, I don't know, 65, okay? Maybe the temperature, 93.23, okay? Something like that, okay? Now, variable name what we are going to write. So variable name, anything but valid. It has to be valid. We can write anything, but there are certain rules, okay, that we need to follow while we are writing the name. Okay. Next thing is, let's understand this concept of variable. Okay, so over here, so let's say something, somehow we have asked the computer to save. So why it is important to understand, okay, why this variable concept is important. Okay, now let's say somehow we have asked the computer to save the data in its memory, and the computer has done it. Okay, now, the point to understand here is we are not allowed to ask the computer about where to keep the data in its memory. Okay, this is a very crucial point. We can just ask it to save the data in its memory, and that's it. We do not have any permission, or we are not allowed to ask the computer that, okay, you save in this particular position of your memory. All right, we cannot do that. Okay, and once or means as we do not know where exactly it is saving the data, we obviously cannot access that. We cannot just go to that particular place and access the data, right? That is not possible because we don't even know where it is saving. We are asking, it is saving, right? Now to solve this problem, okay, now to solve this, so how we can solve this problem? Let's say the computer, let's say the computer is saving something in its memory, and we don't know where it is saving, but let's say it is giving us a reference. It's not exactly telling where it has where it has saved the data in its memory, but it is telling that, okay, I am not going to tell you where I have saved that, but if you call, if you give some name and you call the data by this particular name, uh it will be representing that particular memory location where I have saved. Okay, let's say the variable name is age. Now if you're asking that print age, the computer all automatically understand that, okay, I have to go to this memory location specifically and bring back the value. Okay, I will try to explain this with this file, the concept of variable. Okay, now let's say over here, let's say this is the memory of the computer. Okay, there are a lot of spaces, right? I have tried to make it smaller. Now over here there are some empty spaces, right? So empty space means there is empty. Okay, there is no data in the memory. Green means there is already some data in the memory. Okay, now when we are saving, when we are asking our computer that please save some data in your memory, let's say save the data 56 in the name of the variable, let's say age, what computer will do? Computer will find out some empty space in its memory and it will save it, and it will give us the name age, okay, to represent this particular memory block. Okay, so we need not to worry about where it has saved. We will just ask, give me the value of age, and it will automatically fetch the value 56. This is how this concept of variable works. Okay, now let's go back to our file over here. Yeah, so it will make more sense if we do practically, right? So over here, let's say the age equals to 56. What happens here is this 56 will be saved inside computer's memory, and that memory location where it has saved, we don't know exactly, but it has given us a name called age, that you ask for age, and I will give you this particular value called 56. Okay, this is how, or this is the concept of variable in computer. Okay, now yeah, we can save different type of data. Let's say height 5.6. All right, then we have a first name. These are only the variable names. It's nothing more than that. I can even change the variable name. Okay, so variable name, I have saved the data Shubhankar is a string over here. Okay, then negative num underscore num. Okay, so this is again a variable name, just a variable. I can give abcd whatever I want. Okay, but there are certain rules. One rule is this: I cannot put space in in between the names. It should be a continuous name. See, it's already telling me there is something wrong going on over here. Okay, so it should be a single name. Underscore I can use over here for more visibility, right? So I am saving here a float data, and that also a negative float, right? Okay, great. Now next is so this is how we are saving the data in the memory, in the computer's memory, right? This is how we save the data in computer's memory. So once again, I will repeat. So this is called as a variable. Variable is just a representation of the memory block where we have saved the data. Okay. And this is how we write. So memory location, whatever name we can choose, equals the data that we want to save. That's it. Fine. Next is get, sorry, I think I have over here. Okay. Now next is let's retrieve the data from computer's memory and print it on the screen. Okay. Now here, one thing to understand, small thing, that we have to do something with the data, right? Although, well, we can, take the data from computer's memory, but we have to do something with the data, right? So here I am just printing the data. So last time what I was doing is this. So I will do it. Last time I was doing, let's say print, and let's say I can write, let's say 89. I was directly writing the data over here, right? But using the variable also I can do the same. Okay, what I am doing right now, what will going to happen? Let's say it will, let me run it. Okay, let's see the output. It's not printing. Okay, great. The thing is, what it is says, it's good that we got this error. See, it is saying name age is not defined. Okay, it's basically saying that I don't know what does it mean by age. Basically, the computer is saying I don't know what does it mean by age. What is age? Actually, this particular code, you see, I haven't ran today, right? So I haven't created any memory block whose name is age yet. I haven't ran it. That's why there is no tick. I can run it now. Okay. Now, yes, once it has ran, what has happened? This data 56 has been saved, and that memory location name age has been allocated. That's it. That's fine. Now I can come to this block, and this time it won't say that it doesn't know what is age. It indeed knows what is age. Okay. Age is the name of the memory location where the data 56 is saved. Okay. Next is, see, it has directly printed the data 89, but what will going to happen over here is, first, in the case of variable, it will fetch the data first. Okay, it's like when it will come here, it will see, okay, I have to print something from the age. What is age? Age is a variable. So it will first fetch the data from there. Okay, basically it will be happening like this. It will be writing 56 over here internally. You won't be able to see that. Okay, internally it will be fetching like this, and then it will be printing. Okay, that's it. Okay, and yes, okay, that's how we can use the variable names to print the data. Okay, now we can see it is if it is printing 56, and indeed it is printing, right? Next is height. Now, guess what? If I run this, it will give me an error. Okay, let me run it. And here we go, error. What it is saying, height is not defined. It doesn't know what does it mean by height. What is height? It doesn't know anything about height because I have not told it that what is height, because I haven't run this particular line, right? So I am creating a memory block, okay, where I am saving the data 5.6 whose name is height. Now it will indeed know, but these two particular line I haven't yet ran. So again, it will give the error. It will print height. Okay, can you see it has printed 5.6? This line, it has printed successfully, but again it has given me error over here because it doesn't know what is first name. Okay, step by step, that's what computer goes step by step, at least in Python. Okay, so let me run this one as well. Let me create this memory block, create this memory block as well, and now run this, and yes, successfully it has run. Fine. In the first name, it was a string data, and indeed it has printed the string data. Okay. All right. Next is the data type. I told you, right, that there is a specific data type for each data. So this 5.6, sorry, the height, sorry, the age is 59, 56, right? It should be an integer, right? So there is a way, there is a function, again, there is a function which can help us to, tell about the data type as well. So I am using this particular function called type. Okay. And in the bracket, I need to mention the variable name. Okay. And you might be thinking why there is a print, because if I don't print it, how I am going to see it? All right. So what I am trying to mean by that here, now you will see something special over here. So this type function can tell the data type of any variable. Okay. Now if I play it, okay. Now you are seeing is what you are seeing over here is height, the data type of height, which is float. You can see 5.6. Data type of first name, which is string str, and because it was Shubhankar, then negative num, it is minus 40.56. So you will see a float. But can you see the data type of age? Well, we cannot see. Why? Because computer has fetched out what is the data type of age is, but we didn't ask it to print on the screen, right? That is the reason I have put, print inside, because first what it will do, first it will, fetch out age, and it will check the type of age. So it will understand that the type of age is int. Then it will move on to the next line. We didn't ask it to print it, right? Now I'm going to ask it to print it. Okay. Yeah. Now I can print it and I can play it. And yes, it's indeed printing as int. All right. So this is how, we can check the data type as well. Okay. Over here, one more thing, that whenever we are writing something inside inverted commas, it will be considered as a string, not a variable. All right. Anything inside a inverted comma, it's a string. So see here, height is a string. It's not representing the memory location height, or it is not a variable height. All right. This particular thing I'm talking about. Okay. So when I'm asking print height within inverted comma, it is just printing it as a data. But when I'm asking that print height, so this height is basically representing the memory block where 5.6 value is present, and it is printing over here. Okay. So this is all about retrieving the data, okay, and saving the data in the memory. Next is get input data from the user. Quickly, I will cover it. So over here, we can take the data from the user, right? So how we are going to take the data from the user? So here, first thing is, this input is the function that will help me to take the data from the user. You just remember this, okay? Now, what is this that I am writing inside this? This particular message will be shown while I am asking the input from the user. So user is supposed to understand, right? Why I am asking the input from it, right? So that's where comes this particular string that we have to mention. Okay. Next, once it will fetch the data from the user, then what it will do, if we don't do anything with the data, it's a waste, right? That's the data will be gone. So that's why I am using a variable called username and using the sign equals to save the data inside the computer's memory as well. Let me show you this one. So if I click over here, see, please enter your full name. See, this particular message has been printed while it's asking me about the input. Let's say I am writing, it's UBHA, yeah, only Shubhankar I'm writing, all right? And I'm pressing enter. That's it, okay? So this particular data, this Shubhankar, has been saved under this username variable or memory location. Let's see whether it has indeed been saved or not. I can print it, right? So print username, this memory location or variable, okay? So let's see, yes, indeed, it has been saved, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be printing this, right? And if I check the type of the username variable, it is a string, right? So last section to go quickly. For more clarity, you can just go through these particular points. Okay, I have explained this very nicely. I will be sharing this particular file in the Discord community. Okay. Now over here, now there is a catch with this input. Okay, this particular function, there is a catch. Now what is that? That is, let's say input, please enter your age in years. Let's say I have entered 35. Okay, and if I print it, it is printing 35, right? Great. But if I try to check the data type of 35, there we go with a surprise. What is the 35? 35 is supposed to be a number or integer in computer's language. Okay, integer. And in the worst case scenario, it's supposed to show me at least float, right? But it is showing me a string. So that's a problem with, this input function. In input function, it doesn't matter what we enter, it will be considered, or it will be, saved as in the converting. It will convert everything to the string, and it will going to save it. So what's the workaround over here? So over here, what we can do is we can use something called as eval function. Again, wrapping the eval function. So inside the eval function, we can print, we can, put this input. So this particular input, let's say, will fetch the number 35, right? But when this eval we are passing this 35 as a string inside this eval function. This eval function will convert that into, the corresponding convertible data type. Why I am saying that? Let's say if you are entering ABCD, this eval cannot convert ABCD into some numbers, right? It doesn't make any sense. So if you put 35 or minus 29 or some number, it is smart enough to understand, okay, it's supposed to be an integer. So it will convert that into an integer. And what is the proof? I can check the data type and it will be an integer. So, okay. And yeah, one small example also I can show you here. Inverted comma inside inverted comma 56, that we have already seen. And this 56, these are different. Okay. Why it is different? Because if I check their type, the first one is a string, second one is an integer. Okay. That's why I said in our real life, this might look same, but in the world of computer, how the data is being handled, based on that, there is a difference. Okay. So, okay, this is the, part where I will end this particular, file. And again, I will be sharing this file. You can go through this file in detail. Next, what we will do is I will, give you a small quiz. Okay. That I will disclose the answer over in the Discord as well. Okay, so the first question is, how do you decide the steps that a task should be divided in before we start programming? Okay, let's say there is a task you want to perform. What are the things based on that you will be dividing the steps? Okay, that is the first question. Second is, what is the use of this equal sign in Python programming language? Okay, third is, what will be the data type for the following data 78.96 represented in the Python? Okay, so first one is very important for the beginners to start with. Okay, I would like you to give it a try. What are the steps or factors that you will keep in your mind? Okay. Okay, so here, so that's it for today's session. Okay, now before we end the event, I will give you a quick tour of the Nestria Discord server. Okay, now one more thing, this is my Discord ID. Okay, you can use this particular Discord ID, all right, to communicate with me on the Discord. And these are the channels where I will be available, data science resources, data science launch, and in Python and JavaScript. Okay, just give me a second. I will give you a quick tour of the Discord as well. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. So when you will click on the Discord joining link, you will be landing right over here. Okay. This is how the Discord Nestria server looks like. Okay, so this you will be landing over here, and you can join a topic. Okay, and then there are different channels over here. For Python, there is Python launch and resources. Okay, there is data science, there is JavaScript. I will be mostly available in data science launch and resources, but of course you can tag me in Python and JavaScript as well. Okay, and there are career related channels as well over here. Okay, so you can just give it a check. All right, once you will join it. And we are also providing some free courses for full stack and Python as well. Okay, do explore these options. Yeah guys, I will be, yeah, so join us to get started. Okay, so subscribe the YouTube channel for more upcoming videos. Okay, thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you for joining.